Way back in the summer of 2018, I visited my estranged uncle. I wasn't really ever introduced to my extended family. The only person I'd really met was my dad and my dad's mom. East Coast, Boston accent, super funny. She'd always want to make meatballs. Okay. As it turns out, he's a pretty cool guy. He's a successful salesman, a functional family. Well, a lot more functional than mine. The first time I sat down with dinner with his entire family there, all the relatives in the area, I almost cried. Like, that was the first time I had seen a really happy, like, family together. And if that sounds unrealistic, I'm sorry, but it's the fact. Like, all my friends growing up, they had problems with their parents too. Yeah, it was kind of a shock to see one that actually was able to sit down at a table together without something happening. Yeah. So one of the days that I'm there, he starts talking about our family's Italian ancestry. I'm like, wait, hold up a minute. It turns out my dad's side of the family moved over from Italy in the 1800s to go work in Boston. News to me. And furthermore, it turns out I have an Uncle Vinny who robbed armored cars in Manhattan in the 1980s. My dad's brother was in jail for most of his life for murder and had a remote start his car in case it had car bombs. Yeah, I guess those are some of the reasons why I was never introduced to them. Okay, let me read you an excerpt from the court case. It reads like some kind of action movie. Latanzio, formerly of Brockton, has been convicted in connection with the 1991 armed heist of 2 guards with a Berkshire armored car in Pittsfield. The elaborate holdup involved an inside man who provided information about the company's routes and schedules, as well as disguises and other subterfuge. The thieves made off with $1.2 million, which they divvied up and spent on world cars, boats, and other luxuries. Perhaps most troubling about the case, one witness, Donald Abbott, who participated in the stick-up at the car depot, turned prosecution witness, but was executed by shotgun blast near his Rhode Island home while out on bail. His killing was never solved. The other co-conspirator, Charles Budiso, turned government witness and entered the witness protection program. Then my uncle drops the real bomb. He pulls out an Italian passport and tells me that if I wanted to, I could become an Italian citizen too. What the hell is this? Turns out my ancestors never passed the US naturalization exam. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but it's good now. So fast forward 2 years and it's towards the end of 2019. I had to email this remote commune, this remote village in Italy to get the records. And I translated a message into Italian using Google Translate and I sent it to them. They replied quite excitedly. They got all the documents that I needed, put it together, signed it, stamped it, and mailed it to me for free. I had to get signed papers for both marriage, death, and birth certificates, as well as naturalization certificates. And then I had to get it all officially stamped. It turns out that you have to book the citizenship appointment 2 years in advance. It's fully booked every single day of every single week. I managed to get an appointment for my dad and for me. My dad was the backup option. In case that they rejected my application, I figured that I could probably apply through him. He has to read from a pamphlet that I gave him, that I wrote in advance telling him what he needs to do. It's like an instructional booklet. So the main hiccup was that he had no idea what he was doing. And a few months later, it was my turn. And I fly down to San Francisco, California, to the Italian Consulate. It's a beautiful day, and I walk through homeless-infested streets. I'm there. I'm at the front desk of the Italian Consulate, and the guy there has an absolute fit when he realizes that I don't speak a word of Italian. He straight up tells me to leave. He points at the door and says, "Get out of here." But I hold my ground and I don't leave. I know I have a right to this citizenship and I'm gonna stay here until I get it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to wait like what? Another 2 years? After I stay there for what seems like an eternity, an Italian lady comes out and she asks where I am. She's been looking for me. I go in with her and the appointment goes great. I give her a fruitcake. Fast forward a year and it's 2020.
Yeah, fast forward another year.
And it's 2021 and my application has just been approved. This whole process wasn't over yet. I wasn't in the clear. I still had to apply for the passport, which means I would need another appointment. However, there's this little loophole thing and I was able to go to the honorary emergency consulate in Seattle instead. It got me thinking, well, there's all these different countries in Europe I could go and I could start school again. And this time, if I make a mistake, it won't cost me my life savings. So then it was time for my appointment at the honorary consulate of Italy in Seattle. And I went and it was in the back of some dinky Italian restaurant in a tiny office. And I got fingerprinted and I handed over photos that I have obsessively taken, literally a dozen different times. It was like a stack of photos. And she selected one that she liked and she put it in the envelope and that was it. It ended up coming in the mail towards the end of July and I had my passport a few weeks before I was scheduled to ship out. In total, it took about 4 years and $1,500 to become an Italian citizen. Already paid itself off many times over. I really appreciate Italy, even though in the past I didn't know anything about it. I've been catching up on my knowledge. I at least know a few words now. I hope to learn the language in the future. I'm just very appreciative of the fact that this is something that I can, respect. I figure now, if I fuck up, I'm just gonna be deported to Italy. Hopefully that won't happen. I made a Discord server and that will be linked in the video description below. Remember to like and subscribe. Anyways, that's how I'm still here.